Sometimes a story is just a story, but more often than not, they are a lesson cloaked in entertainment. The stories I share here are definitely the latter. Some are fact, some are fiction, all are beneficial. Hello, my name is Earl Breon, and you are listening to the Leadership Chronicles. Today's story is titled Paving the Way. This is another story with some variations to it. People still debate if it actually ever happened or if it even happens today. But every time somebody posts proof, someone else comes along and shoots that proof full of holes. Good news is, it doesn't matter. The point of the story is still powerful. So here it goes. A big university is setting up a satellite campus. They're going through the process as normal. They bring in architects, they take bidders, they plan what classes are going to take place, since that will determine to some extent the types of buildings they'll need. They do all sorts of analysis on how many new students they believe they will have and plan the dorm rooms accordingly. They discuss whether or not they will allow sororities and fraternities on campus. Will they support sports? At what level? Based on that decision, do they need athletic facilities? The process is long and involved. Every single aspect is mulled over, debated, and mulled over again. The project is going to be a major investment, so the more planning, the better. Finally, they reach a point where all the big picture items are taken care of, and now it's time to discuss details. School colors, school mascots, interior design choices, and sidewalk placement. Now, you may think those first few would be the big topics of debate, but you'd be wrong. Sidewalk placement was the thing that ruled the day. You see, most of the experienced faculty had strong held beliefs that sidewalks should go in certain places. Some wanted only perimeter sidewalks as to keep the green areas green and beautiful. Others wanted many crossing and interconnecting paths to reduce the likelihood students would just walk wherever they wanted anyway. Then one radical lady had a crazy idea. Let's wait 1 year to see where the worn paths are. If we let the students show us where they want to walk, then we can install along those paths, reduce the amount of unused walkways, and decrease the odds of students walking in the green areas. Waiting 1 year will answer all the questions we have. The board debated the idea for a long while, but eventually they decided to go with it and turn it into a study on design. Because, well, that's what universities do. They study things as well as teach them. So the campus is built, and a year later there are well-worn paths that get replaced by sidewalks. Student satisfaction is high. Random trails through the grass area are almost non-existent. The idea was a smashing success that revolutionized major complex designs, at least in regards to walkways. Now, as I mentioned, there are some variations here. Sometimes it's claimed that the University of California, Irvine, is the place where this happened. Sometimes it's UC Santa Cruz. Sometimes they use Apple's campus in Cupertino. And sometimes people outright claim that it never happened, it's just a theory. But none of that really matters, because the point of the story, the leadership lesson here, is about getting your entire team involved in organizational planning. This type of design isn't just relevant to sidewalks, you see. It can be adapted and adopted to any major decision-making process. If you remember, a few episodes ago, I mentioned the law of proportional decision-making. That law, and get ready to write this down if you haven't already, states that the amount of time that you spend making a decision should be proportional to potential outcomes. One more time. The amount of time you spend making a decision should be proportional to potential outcomes. Now, in this case, the potential outcome was a lot of concrete poured that cost a lot of money that wouldn't get used. Waiting a year may seem like a bad investment up front, because the cost of having a crew return a year later to install the sidewalks would be higher than having them do it as part of the overall construction package. But By waiting a year and getting the walkways in the right place, you see a long-term benefit by reducing lawn care fees for trampled green spaces and the residual wear and tear on buildings and floors from tracking in dirt, grass, and water because the students were walking through grass instead of on a sidewalk. The other factor to remember here is that humans all behave and look at problems a little differently. By incorporating as many of these points of view into a decision-making process as possible, the best path, pun intended, forward shows itself pretty clear. The final solution will be more streamlined, more cost-effective, and more resilient in the long term. It may not seem like that right away. If you can think about the long-term picture and look at long-term benefits, they will become clear. All right, it's time for some growth questions. Do you have the patience to wait as long as needed to find the right solution? Are you comfortable incorporating your team into the decision-making process? And if you answered no to that, why do you not feel comfortable incorporating them? What decision are you facing right now that you need to apply this process to? Are you aware of what cognitive diversity is and why it's such a powerful tool? And most importantly, can you check your ego in order to accept the collective answer, even if it contradicts your own personal thoughts? All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, there's a story about paving the way, how it can help you, and some growth questions for you to answer. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Leadership Chronicles. To continue the discussion, find me on Twitter at Earl_Breon, Facebook at facebook.com/laymanleadership, all one word, or email me at podcast@earlbreon.com.